Hi everyone, Alejandra here. Today I'm bringing you 3 tips on how to optimize the use of VLOOKUP. Not everyone has access to XLOOKUP yet, which is available only in Microsoft 365 or Excel 2021. So I'm hoping you find these tips useful and help you to optimize the use of VLOOKUP and make it more efficient. If you like what you see here, remember to subscribe and let's get started. I'm going to start by showing you the content of my table, which starts with the product number, class, units, and color. I want to bring the color that corresponds to product 360. Go to my formula bar and I say equal VLOOKUP. My lookup value will be the content of cell G4, comma. My table array will be the content of my table 1, comma. My column index number will be 4. If I leave this number as a hard-coded number, I may have issues with the results later on. For now, I'm going to leave it as is and I will show you how to make it dynamic. Say comma, I want to bring the exact match, so I can say false or have a 0, close parentheses, enter. The color yellow is correct for product 360, right here. But look what happens if I decide to add one more column here in column B. I select the column, press Ctrl plus. Now my result changed from yellow to 18, and that is because the column that the formula is referencing is number 4, which is units. I have the wrong information in this case. Let me remove that column that I just added by just pressing Ctrl Z to undo the last action. Now what happens if I remove one of the existing columns? Let's say I say there in column B, Ctrl minus to remove. Now I have an error because my formula is looking for column 4 from table 1. My table has only 3 columns. So for that reason, the formula is returning a reference error. Ctrl Z. What I need here is help from the columns function. I'm going to show you what the columns function does. So here I'm going to say equal columns, and it will return the number of columns in an array or reference. Open parentheses, my array will be from cell A3 to D3. In this case, my last column is the color column. It's the one that I'm looking information from. If this column was in column B or C, I could select only up to that range. But in this case, because it's the last column, I'm selecting all the headers from my table. Close parentheses, enter. It gives me back the number 4. But look what happens if I add a column here in column B. Ctrl plus. Now became number 5. It's changing with the columns. Let me remove that column and look, it goes back to number 4. Let me remove column class, Ctrl minus. My number changed to number 3. Okay, Ctrl Z. Now I'm going to replace this number 4 for my function columns. I'm going to select everything except the equals sign. So Ctrl C, escape, and I'm going to delete that. I don't need it anymore. I go here to cell H4, press F2 to edit, and I'm going to delete this number 4, only the number 4, leave the commas, and I'm going to press Ctrl V to paste and enter. Let's call another product, for example, product 349, and brought me the color red, so the formula is working. Look what happens if I add one column here in column C. It gives me back the same color because now it's following the correct column. Let me remove it, and if I remove the column units, same thing. My formula doesn't break, my formula doesn't give me an error, it follows that column. Okay, this is tip number 1. Tip number 2, how the VLOOKUP formula works is that it has a reference and start looking for information that is on the right. So start counting the columns on the right. It's challenging when we have the reference on the right and we are looking for the information to bring back that is on the columns from the left. We need to use another function to help us to work around that. And the function that we are going to use is the choose function. I'm going to say here in the formula bar equals VLOOKUP. My lookup value will be the content of cell K4, comma. My table array, here is where I'm gonna use the choose function, choose, open parentheses. My index number will be column 1 and column 2. I need to use an array. Keep in mind that this array is not the same that the dynamic arrays. This is just an array to indicate the columns. So I need to provide the curly brackets or curly parentheses. I say 1, comma 2. Because I'm indicating that these are columns, I use commas. When I need to indicate that I want rows, I use semicolons. Right now we just need the comma, close the curly brackets or curly parentheses, comma. Now I say I want column 1, column 2. Value 1 is the value for the first column. Here my value 1 will be the color column, comma. Value 2, column 2, will be the class. Close parentheses for the choose formula, comma. Now my column index number, I only have 2 columns. I just use the choose function to indicate that. So here I'm going to say column index number will be 2. I don't have too many options, I only have 2. That's easy. Comma 0 to bring the exact match. Close parentheses, enter. And the formula works. I have the class I for the color purple. Let's bring color brown. The class is E, which is correct. But what happens when I select a color or I bring a color that is not included in the list? It brings me an error, an NA error. I don't like to see this. How I fix it is here. Just after the equal, I say if error, open parentheses. My value will be the result of my VLOOKUP function, comma. Value if error. What do you want me to return if I find an error? Well, if that's the case, then I'm gonna say bring the text not found. I need double quotation marks because it's a text. So not found, close quotation marks, close parentheses, and enter. Now I have a text that is indicating that this color has not been found in the table, and everything else, let's go with orange, and everything else should be working. Okay, this was tip 2. Tip number 3, this is an error that is very common. We are looking for a number that looks like a number, but is formatted as a text. When we try to use our VLOOKUP, then we get an error. I'm going to show you what I mean. I go to my formula bar, I say equals VLOOKUP. I want the lookup value from cell 04, comma. My table array will be the content of my table, comma. My column index number. Now we know how to do that dynamically. So I'm going to say columns, open parentheses. My array will be only the first 2 headers. The column that I'm looking for is the column class. That's all that I need to select, close parentheses, comma. And I want to bring the exact match, close parentheses, enter. It brings me an NA error. What do I need to do to convert this 500 to a number? Very simple. Let me edit the formula here. In your lookup value, after the 04, add a +0. So by doing this, you convert that 500 to a number. Press enter, and now the formula is working. It brought me the class D for 500. So let me show you another 4 options that you can use. Here I go to the formula bar. Instead of adding a 0, I'm going to multiply by 1. So I say asterisk 1, enter. That also helps to convert that text to a number. The next we can divide by 1 as well. And divide it by 1, enter. The 4th option is to add 2 minus before the O10, right here. Press enter, and the formula is working. The last option will be to use the value formula. After my parentheses from the VLOOKUP, I say value, and it converts a text string that represents a number to a number. Open parentheses, my text will be the content of O12, close parentheses, enter. And my formulas are working. Here are the 5 options that I just showed you. I hope you found this information useful. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also, share with anybody that you believe can benefit from it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.